Welcome to this edition of Las Películas Sábados Gigantes at the Cinemarijuana Theatre. Yeah! John, you want to tell them why we're here?
In excess of 2 minutes.
Well, we're here to talk about all the movies we just watched on our most recent series, our Free-4-All series.
That's right.
And we're gonna rate them and rank them and discuss them and hate on some of them
and hold them and call them George.
Yes,
right.
yes. We have 10 films that we saw.
Much like the Flintstones, it'll be a gay old time.
Indeed, indeed, it will. Thank you, Jason. So let's go around the room and introduce. We got quite a group tonight. Yes, no, go ahead.
Probably should have said that earlier, but will this work if we just kind of like aim it like this?
Yeah, just need to lean into it a bit. Just try to move it around with your hands as little as possible.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Jason will show you how to
mouth
lean
only.
into it.
Let's. All right. Well, let's go around clockwise. We got quite a group here. Starting with me, I'm Ed.
I'm Zeb.
I'm Batman.
I'm John.
I'm Kenzie.
I'm Chris.
I like deep weed.
I'm Raul.
I'm Matt.
All right, and yes. So just to name off the films for everybody that we watched to recap, we saw Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which was my pick. We saw Graceland, which was Zeb's pick. The Sting from Dr. Matlis. Chris got us sidekicks. Garrett picked Captain Phillips. Condi, 1941. Kenzie picked Rent.
Yeah.
Lan picked Nightcrawler. Raul picked Society. And John picked The Visitor.
Why the fuck is my last name misspelled? How long have we known each other?
2 months.
He. I didn't write. I only wrote the titles of the films. I didn't write. I didn't write
You
the
don't
names.
proofread the stuff that goes out in copy.
It's behind.
I
me.
thought you were the fucking mastermind behind all this. Your
Man.
fingers aren't in all the little cracks and crevices.
It is not my night.
They are just not in these cracks and crevices.
In the doghouse tonight.
Your name is Mason Lamb, right?
Fucking A. My name is Mud. All right. So, we're here to talk about those films, so we'll just get right to it. We'll go around. We're going to talk about our best film, our worst film. Okay.
It was the best.
Okay,
Fuck
so
all of you.
so this is
We're going to talk about our best film, and then we're going to talk about Rent.
this is right. See, this is a weird thing because Rent was so overwhelmingly
Okay, should we
unpopular.
just take that one off the list?
Exactly. You
No,
read my mind.
No.
Well, no.
We
Just-
spent. Well, all right, we
That is
already
not a
spent.
statistical anomaly.
Yes, it's an outlier, but I mean,
We're
we
all-
already
it's-
spent like 60 minutes ripping that movie in
Yeah.
half.
Yeah,
Should we pick the
think
next
it
Then
one?
we'll move on and have a shorter podcast.
No.
Hey, if you want to hear a really good rant, listen to Zeb at minute 14 of the Rent podcast.
Well,
For this specific podcast,
Strap
it'll be
in.
your worst film besides Rent.
but because I
Yeah.
am keen to see kind of what the next one
Like,
for everybody was.
I read this list one time.
and what Kenzie's actual
they
worst
ranked
one
the Batman villains, right? And they left the Joker off the list because he's automatically number
Right,
one. So
right.
we're not even going to bother
Oh
putting
no,
him on
I
the
see
list.
that like film list where they leave off Citizen Kane.
Right, so we're going to leave off Rent because it's obviously everybody's worst movie.
It's
Sorry,
earned,
Kenzie.
it's earned itself a special place
Well,
in
no, I
Cinemarijuana
want to hear it
history.
from all of you. Is it all of you think it's the worst?
Yes.
Beyond
Absolutely.
a shadow of
No
a
worries.
doubt.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst films I've ever seen,
Yes.
much less of
That
those
movie
10.
It's
fucks
the worst
the bell
musical
curve.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, it is definitely the worst musical I've ever seen, and it is easily among the worst films I've ever seen, and maybe the worst, or at least enjoyable, because like there are some bad movies that at least you can have fun with.
Right, but with this one, no.
Rent is,
Has
I would,
Nick seen
you
Rent?
know, it's
So
like
special
root
category,
canal.
second worst movie. Just this
No,
one.
I just
second
was
worst movie.
wondering.
Yes. So
Are you trying to break up their relationship?
I wasn't suggesting that he show it to her.
okay.
I was just searching for like one other person to be like, yeah, it's not terrible.
No, it's terrible.
I even talked to my
We're not
professor
in
for my
Hillcrest right now.
my theater course. My professor, who he's directed theater, he's acted, he's a pro guy. And I talked to him. I was like, have you seen Rent? He's like, the musical or the film? I'm like, the film. He's like, I'm sorry you watched that. The first fucking thing he said. Like, and he when he talks about the theater, he says like we, like
Yeah.
he considers like himself a part of the theatrical community, and he's speaking for them.
So he's a spokesman for the theater.
All right, so let's go around. I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes because we got a bigger group this time. We want to get through all this stuff. So starting with you, Zeb, let's talk about your favorite, the best film for you of the free-for-all round. Go ahead.
Kind of hard for me to pick a favorite because there were some really good ones up there. But I guess it would have to be a tie between Nightcrawler, 1941, and Treasure of the Sierra Madre. One of those top three, but I'm kind of leaning more towards Nightcrawler.
All right. What is it about Nightcrawler that edges it up for you over the others?
Just the state of the media today, or the media is becoming more of the story creator instead of the story reporter.
Right.
Also talks about the need to be the first, the need to be the breaking, and also the metamorphosis of Jake Gyllenhaal's character from this con man driving this small little hatchback, trading in scrap metal, to who he is at the end, being this very slick businessman with his own fleet of stringers going out and capturing footage. I've never really seen that in a film recently, of a great arc of a character, so it's really good. The other two, 1941, brings back many great memories of sitting in front of the TV, watching it on KTLA, and Treasure of the Sierra Madre. John Huston, who we all elected into the Hall of Fame on the Visitor podcast. It's an amazing film. Can't say much more about it. Listen to the previous podcast, but Nightcrawler would probably get my crown, my trophy.
Your top vote.
My top vote.
Okay. All right. Condi, let's hear it from you.
Well, are you gonna do a worst movie out of the quote unquote 9 instead of 10?
When we do that, that's the next round though.
Oh, next round. Okay.
Now it's your best.
Well, I'm with Zeb on the same top 3. Now, The Sting is a great movie as well, but it's I don't want to say played out, but I've seen it a ton of times. And Society, I was pleasantly surprised by that. I'd never seen it before, was never on my radar. Captain Phillips, I just wanted to punch that dude in the face. I just wanted to hit him with a bat, just like, shut the fuck up. You're not as cool as you think you are, dude.
Who, Captain Phillips?
Captain Phillips, yeah.
Is he really trying to be cool?
That pompous motherfucker.
he thinks he's like sowing the seeds of discontent everywhere. That's his thing. And
some people from the crew of that ship would agree with you, Condi.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, from that, they hated him. Sidekicks. It's a great movie. It's a great movie in its own right. I mean, it's really fun. Very wary, and to think about it, is this kid insane or not? Kind of thing. Graceland, I actually have not seen, but I would love to give the crown to myself, but I will give it to this one time Ed for Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
All right.
Now, Nightcrawler would probably be tied for number 2, or maybe just number 2. It was a great movie. I'd never seen it. As much as I hate Jake Gyllenhaal, it was just still a great movie. Yeah. It's always good to see a movie about the villain, and the villain wins the entire movie.
Yeah.
But just the acting in Treasure of the Sierra Madre and what they had to do, and Bogey's just metamorphosis from a real person to what he becomes.
Yeah, it's a true transformation.
Yeah. And how everything ends. It was just a great movie all around. That's my number 1.
Excellent. Okay, John, your turn.
I'm gonna.
Take it away.
We had a lot of good movies this series. I mean, looking with one glaring choice, we had a lot of really good award-winning films.
In a lot of ways, it was almost as if the You Blew It Oscar theme never ended, because we had so many of these were also Best Picture nominees.
For sure.
I think a lot of people had backups that they just really wanted to show.
Yeah,
I could see that definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's hard to pick a best, but honestly, I have to give it to Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Because it's not just a great film; it could be the greatest film of all time. There's definitely people who make that argument. It's got a great story to it. If you ever read the Wikipedia or the IMDb trivia, the whole thing with John Huston, his dad.
Oh yeah,
it's such a great story, and it's so.
They had good times on the set.
They did, and it's heartwarming to hear that with them working together and it being such a big thing. And the whole thing with John Huston smoking pot and freaking out and having to call an ambulance and shit. Yeah. It's just really, it's a man. Like we said, I think when we reviewed it, it's a man's movie for men. It's very manly.
Bye, man.
But it's great. I mean, they make jokes about those in like Bugs Bunny cartoons. That movie. I mean, it's been around for so long. It's such a classic.
Yeah, it wasn't me this time.
Hey, you know what? To be fair, though, where would you find this movie in the section of Blockbuster?
Classics.
There you go. So hey, a lot of good movies, but I would give it to Treasure O, the Sierra Madre.
Okay. Kenzie.
Okay, well, first of all, I think we should remind people that we don't say classic anymore.
That's right.
So that's why we make a big deal about it every time
it's
it
on
happens.
it's on the verboten list.
Yes. Okay. I came prepared, of course.
Excellent.
Nice.
But
We
I
love
don't
it.
really need this. And I'm so pissed at everyone for thinking that that Treasure movie is the best.
That Treasure movie.
It was not a treasure to me. I hated it. In fact, that one and 1941 and The Sting and The Visitor were like my worst. The ones
Well,
you
we're
guys
not talking
all
about your
What do
worst
you
yet.
I
live
want to see
for?
that on the DVD case.
We're not talking about
Not
the
a
worst.
treasure
Like
to me,
rom-com.
says Kenzie.
Yeah, right.
You might like
So I think my favorite is probably Nightcrawler. Rent is too long, so I can't vote for that. And actually, like, that one is so long, it was also on my worst list. But I wanted to be its advocate and like fight for it. So
All right.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bitchin'. Chris.
Can you hear me okay?
Point it a little more at you,
Okay.
and then I can
Whoa.
pump you up. I can pump. No, just tilt the mic at you. You can. There you go.
How's that?
There you
Okay.
go. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
That was interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm just deciding right now. Honestly, looking up there, there's so many good movies. I think my movie was terrible. Rent was terrible, and everything else was so good.
I like Sidekicks.
Sidekicks. Did you not see that? Oh, that's a bummer.
Better
You're
than
off.
Rent.
That's not saying much, but yeah, I think my favorite is Nightcrawler. It's so, man, just visually like so beautiful and so I love high contrast in movies. I don't know what it is about me like it. It's kind of funny how what was that movie where it was just all black and white but it was like animated kind of too. But it was like it was in Las Vegas and it was. This is a stupid.
Do we
thing to talk
watch it
about right
here?
now. Anyway, sorry. It was like Cool World, but it was
I hope not.
I don't know why I
Animated
mentioned
Las
this.
Vegas.
I'm thinking Cool World.
Anyway, yeah. But is that?
Yeah. Okay. All right. You nothing more to add?
Not
About
really. We
Nightcrawler?
already talked about it. I mean, that's my favorite. Yeah. I mean, I liked this round. This is a good round. I thought it was a solid round. Some really good ones.
I didn't realize until looking at the list written
Some
down how
real
many
stingers.
good movies we'd see in this round.
Well,
Yeah.
it actually, 10 is kind of a lot for
I
a
think
series. So
Graceland
we
was the biggest surprise for me too. Sorry.
Which one?
Graceland.
We're not there yet. We're not
Oh.
doing that part yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just hang on to that.
that's the third part.
Oh, my bad.
Don't jump
Put
the
that
gun.
back
Don't
in
jump
your
the gun.
pocket.
Okay.
All right. Jason, talk to us.
Sup? I saw only 40% of the picks on this list.
Seriously?
Oh, that's right, because there was a few weeks
Oh, yeah, you
where
were
you
gone.
were without a vehicle.
That and sometimes I was just like, you know what? I value sex more than Cinemarijuana Theatre.
That's a perfectly acceptable excuse.
But of the 4 that I did see, Rent was definitely the worst.
Don't know. We're
And-
not talking about the worst.
Yeah,
And-
what's the
and-
best? Just the best movie right now.
Damn it.
we're not
What you
talking
saw.
about-
God, it's just so it's
we
so
talked about
deep.
that last week.
I'm kind of tied between my pick for Nightcrawler and Connie's pick for 1941. Like, I never would have guessed that as a Spielberg film. Because, like, the way it starts is like, oh, he's like, they're kind of making a parody of a Spielberg film. Like, who is this?
Right.
And then it is Spielberg.
And then it goes from, like, just kind of, like, typical to, like, incredibly nutty really quickly.
Yeah. Madcap.
Yes, exactly.
Wacky.
Madcap Antics would be a great two-word description of that
Yes.
film.
Yes. Okay, but
So, yeah, just flip a coin for me. And
Nightcrawler or 1941.
Yeah.
Huh? Tied.
Yeah.
Equal. Okay. All right, Raul.
My favorite. Well, I came in halfway through.
Yes, that's right. You didn't see.
So I haven't seen all of those movies, but Nightcrawler is definitely my favorite. I'd seen it before though, but granted, the only one I hadn't seen was 1941, and that movie really surprised me. So it's probably a toss-up between those two.
Okay,
but definitely Nightcrawler is like my favorite movie of last year.
Okay,
number one. My favorite.
Dude,
with a bullet.
Who would have ever predicted Jason
cleaning up?
To be fair, it was random. It was practically
it's
random.
Not a clean sweep, but it looks like he'll win.
Yeah, well, let's see where it goes from here. All right, Dr. Matlis, returning. Tell us what you thought about this theme or non-theme.
Well, yeah, this non-theme. This round was really good. I had to kind of refamiliarize myself with what we had watched. Unfortunately, I missed Graceland. I'll have to go back and watch that one.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, I'll need to do that. Oh, geez, there's some good ones. The Treasure of Sierra Madre was really good. I hadn't seen that before, and that was just a fantastic movie. Nightcrawler also. I feel like those two are among the crowd here are kind of like the two top picks. Sidekicks?
Question mark.
It really fills that niche. That it's the best of
the worst.
It's the best of.
It's Joe Piscopo's best.
Yes, it's definitely.
No, actually, it wouldn't.
Puts Johnny Dangerously
yeah,
in shape.
it doesn't though. No. Johnny Dangerously is definitely Piscopo's best.
I don't know.
It's the best of those movies that are the Chuck Norris movies that are so bad that they're good.
It's the best Joe Piscopo movie in which Chuck Norris also starred.
I'm just kidding. I'm not picking that one. I think I'd have to go with The Treasure of Sierra Madre.
Okay.
It's just, I'm just blown away that I hadn't seen that before. It's just so good, and the transformation, the characters, and just the gold fever.
Yeah. It's good to see somebody be able to really, latch onto a role and really show some chops and just chew it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, Bogey's like a bad guy all the time, but he like doesn't get to shine like he does in this and show.
Yeah. And he's usually a lot more kind of clean cut. He plays that kind of character.
Yeah.
And just
and
having
a bow tie.
Yeah, just being like, you could just see him like the gold sweats.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Straight to Sierra Madre. Okay, so for me, for my best, because also I'm taking it kind of as sort of an experience with the group as well. So obviously, for me, the top two are 1941 and Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler, I'd seen it before, but most of us hadn't, and watching it with the group was a lot of fun because it really is a roller coaster ride that just sucks you in, and I don't know. It's the kind of shit that should be watched like in a group. You know what I mean? So it was really bitchin'. And the same thing with 1941. I had seen it once a long time ago, but didn't remember shit.
Yeah.
So I obviously didn't really like it that much when I saw it, or possibly didn't even finish it.
Right.
But with limited exception, we had a blast with it. I mean, we were all like the jokes were working, they were delivering, they were killing, they had us rolling in the aisles. So we were having a blast with that film. So it was surprising to me for a film that has such a negative reputation and is so ill remembered that we had such a blast with it.
Oh, yeah.
And the cast was so impressive. But ultimately, I think I've got to give it to Nightcrawler because I feel that Nightcrawler had all that and that like critical edge.
And a bag of chips.
Right.
I really thought he was going to say Treasure of the Sierra Madre right there.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
I really got to give it to Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
No. I mean, those were because Treasure of the Sierra Madre was great too. But I've watched that like a bunch. And like I picked it on kind of a whim. I was like, oh yeah, I have that, and like you guys that haven't seen it will just fucking love this. And it was good. It was right up there. But for me, those 1941 and Nightcrawler were sort of the pinnacles of it for me. And Nightcrawler gets the edge for me.
Hey, where does 1941 rank for you among Spielberg?
Pretty high up, honestly, because I'm not a fan of a lot of his stuff. Sort of, I think he's kind of hit and miss. Like, I think he hits the ground like pretty much running, and then he like redefines what cinema is for like the next several films, and
then he misses all the rest.
Well,
of
no, and then he kind of starts going back and forth. Where like every other film is one that's kind of good, and then the other one is like Jurassic Park, for as beloved as it is. I just don't think that's a very good film.
No, but Jurassic Park 2.
It was even worse.
And he directed that one.
Well, yeah.
So Minority Report's rad.
So like 3 stars.
I actually haven't seen Minority Report. I actually haven't seen it, but
what the fuck?
But I do like his early work, especially. So for me, it's up there. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, it's not. It's no Raiders. It's no Close Encounters. It's no Jaws. It's no Color Purple or Schindler's List
or E.T.
E.T., which to me is his best film.
Or Goonies.
Did he actually direct Goonies?
I don't know.
Richard Donner.
Yeah,
That's
that's
Donner.
right.
It was Donner. So.
But it would probably be
Richard
beneath
Donner.
those, I would imagine, up there. All right, well, let's go around the room and let's talk about our second worst.
So what won best?
I think Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
Okay, well, let's
Nightcrawler.
okay. Yeah, well, let me see. Let
I
me
thought you were
just take
keeping
a
track.
No, I should have. Let me just keep.
What
let
if
me
we just raise our hands if we voted for Nightcrawler?
That's what I want to
even
say.
easier.
Okay, go ahead. Everybody that voted for Nightcrawler, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, everybody that voted for Treasure, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3.
I heard that movie was not a treasure.
And then,
According to Kenzie Edwards, it's not.
And then 1941 was just you, Jason.
I mean, it's so tied. It's so tied for me. I might have to just abstain from.
Well, no, it's okay. It's fine. So we got a 3-5-1. Yeah, Nightcrawler
Well, he's
won.
probably reluctant to pick his own movie too.
Sure.
So it wasn't
No,
his pick,
no,
he
I'm
probably-
No, he's not. The
All
most narcissistic one of the group, really?
All right, let's. All right, Zeb, tell us about. Don't tell us about Rent.
Without mentioning Rent.
But tell us about your least favorite or the worst film for you.
Okay, after I gouged my eyes out on Rent, I would have to say I apologize in advance, but the second worst one up there would probably have to be The Visitor. And I'll tell you why.
Even worse than Sidekicks, huh?
Well, Sidekicks, there was at least a story that tied up everything. There is a first act, second act, and third act that I could follow. And if you add the sense that the kid was mentally ill to the equation, it changes your perspective of the whole film. Now, with The Visitor, it was much like
fever dream.
higher-end strippers versus zombies, in the sense that they did have the money, they just didn't have the story, and they made it up as they went along. Was the girl supposed to be a Damien-like entity? Was the girl supposed to be a battle between Satan and Jesus for her soul? Or as one entry on Wikipedia mentioned, or an IMDb, was this a dying planet and they were just plucking people out of it? The story the movie didn't know what it wanted to be. Granted, it was very atmospheric. It had great music. Had great performances from John Huston, but overall, Sidekick was more entertaining than The Visitor. The Visitor, to me, was too confusing for my taste.
All right, there we go. 1 vote for The Visitor. All right, Condi, give us your least favorite.
Well, not having seen The Visitor, my least favorite out of the rest, other than Rent, is going to be Captain Phillips. Sorry, Garrett.
Okay.
I'm not saying it wasn't a good movie. I'm just picking it as the worst for me out of these 10 movies.
Okay.
I know it's like kind of a one-man show in the whole thing, and I know, sometimes you got to glorify things, but it's just like they were super over the top on how super cool Captain Phillips was, and he's such a good man. He's a good man. That's all I could think of when I watched that.
They portrayed him as a man of unimpeachable morality, and you saw him as like Icarus.
Yeah, and it's just all like, dude, just shut your mouth. And these pirates, if they were any better, they should have just fucking pistol whipped the shit out of him until he was unconscious.
So he's your Karate Kid?
Problem solved. Yeah, really. And sidekicks, man. I could watch that movie all day long. Would I want to watch Captain Phillips again? No.
Nope.
If I had to, would I?
Nope.
Yep.
So, sorry, Garrett.
Captain Phillips.
Phillips.
Captain Fuck-em-ups.
Are you
Just got
keeping
fucked up by Condi.
You keeping track on these?
Yes. Yes. All right, John, take it away.
I'm gonna have to probably say Sidekicks. Not that it wasn't a lot of fun, and honestly, my second worst would have to be The Visitor, even though it was my pick, because there's obviously so much cinematic gold in this list. I'm not gonna blow smoke up anybody's ass to say The Visitor really has any chance of contending with any of these for a quality movie.
Just hating on
But,
Sidekicks.
no, because Sidekicks was a lot of fun. I would watch both Sidekicks and The Visitor again, because they're different movies, but they're both like in different ways, just sort of like weird, sort of out there movies. But like Sidekicks is just kind of like stupid. Like The Visitor's like, okay, like I don't know what the hell they were smoking. Like they came up with some crazy shit. They were trying to do something, they failed at it, but you can't
an honest
claim
attempt, though, yeah.
they didn't put a lot of effort into it, and there's not a cinematic polish to that. And whereas with Sidekicks, it's just some dumbass action movie where it's like, Chuck Norris owed somebody a favor, and so they made this stupid movie to try to get 12-year-olds to drop their movie money on the weekend. And it's fun, but like I said, you got basically like 8 Oscar caliber movies and then Sidekicks and The Visitor. Rent, which is not even in there. So, yeah.
Do not speak his name.
So, yes, I'm going to have to say...
Wait, Rent did get an Oscar nom, didn't it?
Yeah, but that just proves how stupid the Academy can be sometimes. Because come on,
I know. Like
We've already had this theme.
What piece of quality work was ignored so they could get that one in there?
Seriously.
All right, so Sidekicks for you, yeah.
Yep.
All right, Kenzie, let's hear it.
Okay. Which one out of Treasure and The Sting is shorter?
Is that really what you're going to base your decision on?
I
Yes.
don't. Let me look this up.
Because I hate them both equally, but I would watch the shorter one.
I think it's going to be
If
the.
I had to watch them
I
again.
think it's the Sting, but let's see.
Let's see. The Sting is yeah.
So Treasure gets her vote then.
The Sting
No, the
is
Sting-
long.
The Sting gets the vote for worse because it's longer.
Because it's
Sting
longer, because
is
you'd have to sit
long.
through it.
Yeah. So
Dude,
The
we can't. We
Sting-
don't have any royalties to
Oh,
pay
shit,
Glenn
sorry.
Fry. Please.
I mean, the Sting is not long.
No, it's the melody.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, but also like there are a lot of movies on that list that I would rather watch over Rent. So like that's definitely like bottom 3 for me, honestly.
You picked it.
I know because I love the soundtrack. The actual movie is just hard to get through.
Soundtrack is even worse.
I
The
love
soundtrack is the whole movie.
And it's hard to get through.
It is hard to get
What
through.
else are you gonna watch?
No.
Okay, all right. We're
Okay,
not
okay.
getting into
Anyways.
this.
Okay, so the Sting
It's better this
The
way.
Sting, but like also Treasure of the Sierra
is a
Madre
close second.
needs to be noticed.
These gets
Yeah.
noteworthy
Gets the
attention.
nod.
Exactly.
The
All
anti
right.
nod.
Okay, Chris.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say Sidekicks. What a piece of crap.
Wait, okay. We don't
Norris.
have time to go back and listen to that podcast. But just reiterate, why did you pick that one?
It was almost like a fuck you pick in a lot of ways. I wish
Wasn't it
Jason
on
was
a
there for
whim?
that. You would have loved it.
No.
You would have hated how much
I liked
you would have
it.
loved how much you hated it.
Well, I don't know. I think when you picked it too, it was a great palate cleanser.
That's what I was saying.
That's what it was.
Well,
really.
and,
I
you
don't
know, also
I
like
was
we,
just
we've
dude,
said, you're picking the worst of this list, but that doesn't mean that it's bad necessarily.
No, Sidekicks is pretty bad.
Yeah, okay,
it's really
but
fucking bad.
If you want to watch a Chuck Norris movie, there's
Watch
better
the Big
ones.
Brawl. Yeah. Watch something else.
I go down a rabbit hole a lot, and this was one where I definitely did.
You pull out some wonderful stuff.
This is just. I was just like, it would be so fucking funny if I played this.
Yep.
But yeah, there it is.
Yep.
It is funny to think that the kid's totally fucking nuts and like suicidal and like
He's all actually schizophrenic.
his cure for it is martial arts. So they put him in a martial arts tournament. Yeah, the reluctant Chuck Norris you have. He doesn't even seem like he wants to be in the movie at any time.
Reluck Norris.
I swear he owed somebody a favor
My-
or something.
Yeah, it's his brother. Remember we talked
that's
about it.
right,
His
that's
brother made
right,
the film or
yeah.
something like that.
My personal pet peeve is when they put starring roles in martial arts movies that don't star martial artists. I love that.
Right.
No,
Yeah, I
fucking
know,
hate
right?
that. It pisses me off beyond all explainability, but
That really pisses me off to no end.
I can't really. I do like it. It's likable in a funny kind of way, but it's just a horrible movie.
All right. Sidekicks.
Third, I guess I dislike would be. I don't know. Do we have to say that? Or?
No.
Don't have to say second.
I like the rest of them actually, except for fucking Rent.
Okay. All right, Jason, tell us about your least favorite.
I actually realized I have seen The Treasure of Sierra Madre, and The Sting is the Robert Redford one, or Paul Newman.
Paul and Robert.
Oh no,
Redford,
yeah,
and Robert Shaw.
Okay, I've seen both of those then. And so this is the worst movie, and I'm not allowed to say Rent is what the
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's all accepted. It's going to be. Worst.
I actually, of the ones I've seen, so I haven't seen The Visitor or Sidekicks.
wow.
Would
That
go
really-
would go with Treasure of
trimming the fat.
Sierra Madre because I wasn't a huge fan of that film.
Wow.
Okay.
But that's just the worst of the bunch that I've seen. Treasure is like all right. Like
Jason taking the Kenzie role this
So
time.
also not a
Yeah.
treasure.
So proud.
Even our Bizarro
Bizarro
choice.
Jason. He not only was his pick the favorite of everybody's, but then he's like, oh wow.
Me and
Well, I
hate
think
Treasure Sierra Madre.
he's just picking Treasure of Sierra Madre because it came close. You know, he's all like, "How dare you? You know, come close to my pick."
no,
to winning.
it's just like a distant second to Rent for me. So.
Okay.
Like light years, like or maybe what's the next amount of space after a light year, like measurement of length.
Parsec?
Yeah, it's like a parsec or two away. It's like doing the Kessel Run in like a million parsecs.
the Kessel Run of movies.
That totally is.
Actually, parsecs longer, but we won't get into that.
No, please.
Yeah,
Let's.
bring the knowledge.
Thank you, Dr. Matt.
Okay. All right. So, Jason picking Treasure of the Sierra Madre. All right, Raul, go ahead. Tell us about of those that you've seen.
I mean, really, the only one I didn't like was Captain Phillips. I mean, I didn't see Rent though, so there's that.
But you wouldn't have liked it.
But I could live the rest of my life never seeing Captain Phillips. I mean, to quote an old Chinese proverb, "Me no Reiki."
Wow.
All right, we're on fire tonight.
Hey, that's that movie in 3 words too.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Done. Perfect. Sums it up. All right, another vote for Captain Phildo there.
Phildo?
well, Phildo Swaggins. You know.
Okay, Dr. Matlis, go ahead.
Well, I think I'm pretty close to John's opinion on this one between Sidekicks and The Visitor, because I don't know, Sidekicks. I feel like I could watch that one again, as terrible as it is. It is entertaining.
It has a
and like
narrative that
there's
you would
different
follow.
ways that you can watch that movie, just as it's given to you, or as the kid is insane, which is pretty hilarious. But the Visitor, and I did enjoy that movie in a weird sort of fever dream way.
I love
Yeah.
that podcast. That was a good podcast.
I don't know. It was just too kind of
Didn't have enough codeine that night.
yeah. I just couldn't be sedated enough to enjoy that movie. The music was good. It had that one really good theme
Yeah, they had
that they
one
just
song
drove.
about it.
They just drove it into the ground.
Zeb, where are you now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty
So
Visitor?
I think The
Worst?
Visitor.
You're,
Yeah.
you're giving it to the Visitor.
I'm giving it to The Visitor.
Okay, all right.
right.
Visitor.
Long live Sidekicks.
Another vote for the Visitor. All right, and that's going to bring it to me to close out the least liked. And looking at this list,
Come on, Jabruski.
well, okay, damn it, because I'm such a dumbass when it comes to movies.
You don't hear anybody arguing that.
You know what? I'm gonna break from the ranks here.
Don't do it.
Honestly, for me, the worst film was The Sting.
Really?
Not because The Sting is a bad film. By no means do I mean to assail it with that type of a critique. But it certainly hasn't aged well for me, having like seeing it again, like the first time I saw it, like I really dug it, but watching it this time, it was just something about it. I just wasn't with it. I felt it was kind of bloated.
I kind of got that vibe a little bit too. I liked it less this time than the first.
It was
time
I thought it was like overlong, and then looking at like how looking at all this other stuff that like it beat at the Oscars, I kind of built a little resentment in a way.
Yeah, I do get that.
Oh, that's right. It did win. Huh?
But the thing of it is, you have to remember that like you're listening to the guy that picked Zombies, Hamburger the Motion Picture, and would have picked Standing Ovation had it not already been picked. So I can't really say that I enjoyed Sidekicks or The Visitor less than I enjoyed The Sting. And overall, The Sting was the one that I think I just had the least. I just enjoyed the least watching again. So,
okay,
or watching for the first time. I mean, of both. It doesn't matter that I had seen it. Is what I'm saying. So I'm going to give mine because I did enjoy just about everything we watched. This was a good slate for me, with the exception of the film that shall not be named. So I'm giving my vote to La Stangata.
All right.
All right. So the winner. We actually have a three-way tie. Actually, people were more all over the place this time. We have a three-way tie. The Visitor, Captain Phillips, and Sidekicks, all tied for the worst.
I'm comfortable with that.
So that's good. I like that we're displaying some kind of diversity here. All right, so final round. Let's go around and talk about your most interesting or most surprising pick. The biggest surprise for you or the most interesting one. Zev, go ahead.
Society. Would probably have to be the biggest surprise for me.
Okay.
One, it was a film I vaguely remembered at Video Depot.
Right.
The box cover of the faces coming off. Really dug it. It was very interesting. One, to see it in Russian, very poorly dubbed, and then to see it in English properly.
Yeah, right.
All right. Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like one of those films. It's like, what did I just watch? And then you want to watch it again. And I thought it was probably one of the biggest surprises up there. Not a bad movie, not like a very excellent movie, but it's one that I could see myself watching on a weekend.
Right.
When I'm like, hey, I don't got anything else to do. Let's pop in Society.
Yeah.
If anything, just for the shunting scene
right.
and the breasts on the back words, incestual relationship between these creature monsters, blobs.
A guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it is.
I have a shunting fetish now. By the way.
You got to come up with a name for that. We need to be able to recognize your
Shuntish.
sexual orientation.
Oh, jeez.
Shuntish.
Shuntio-sexual.
Yeah, sunsexual. But yeah, it's a great guilty pleasure. I enjoyed it. Very surprised by it. And again, if you look at the movies that are up there, it's great to have palate cleansers like Sidekicks. And Society was a great palate cleanser after Nightcrawler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Take it away, Condi.
Well, the Zebinator gets my pick on this one for Graceland.
All right.
Not on my radar. Never even heard of it, other than it was, some shitty show on the USA Network. But this actual movie was amazing. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and it's not well known, and there's not a lot of info out there about it. So
yeah, it
was difficult to come by.
Nice twists and turns. The acting was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't like great acting, like Nightcrawler or Treasure Sierra Madre or something like that. But especially people are starting to watch more foreign films now than they ever have before. So seeing, that they're pumping out quite quality movies like this, I can't wait to see, something else,
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly makes you optimistic about, checking out new stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And instead of it just being like a foreign film about, their culture or something like that,
right.
This is a foreign film that's actually a great film.
Right. It transcends kind of those boundaries in a way, the international boundaries. Because it's a human story that'll draw you no matter where you're from.
Yeah, and this movie using an Edward had chops. So
indeed. All right. One vote for Graceland. John, your turn.
I'm gonna have to go with Condi's pick, 1941, because as I stated in that podcast, I'd never seen it really. They played it a bunch on TV when I was a kid, like on probably the KTLA movie of the week or something. But it never seemed like it was going to be funny. And when we actually watched it was actually really funny. And I'm sure, like, probably because of the fact I was 5 didn't help me to not get the couple of jokes I saw for the few minutes I saw on TV. So I always, and because it is, like, sort of widely regarded as a flop, even though it was, like, one of those things that it was a success, just not a blockbuster like his other movies at the time. And even, I mean, he even admits himself that he sort of made some mistakes and was really sort of drunk on his own farts when he made it. So
getting high off his own brand.
Right. And so, like, I was afraid that it wasn't going to be funny. But yeah, it was really good. I liked it a lot, and I can see why the people who's got a cult following and it deserves it. It's kind of like the Blues Brothers, like one of those comedy movies where, I can see why you hear about this still. And on a side note, that old arcade game, 1941, the plane one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always thought as a kid that was the game of the movie.
If it was, I would be so disappointed.
Well, I thought you were supposed to be John Belushi in that plane, and you were just shooting.
That'd be like the only case.
Once again, I played 5. Did you really? Okay, see, I'm not the only one.
That's
I
right.
really thought that was the game of the movie.
That's right.
But it's not. But yeah, so 1941, most surprising.
Okay. All right, Kenzie, your turn.
Okay. Well, I didn't know anything about any of these movies, basically, except for, like, Nightcrawler and Captain Phillips and Rent, obviously. And so I didn't really have any expectations when they were presented. So with that being said, Society was weird. And it was surprising how weird it was, because I haven't seen a weird movie in a while. And I guess my most surprising one would be Graceland, probably.
Okay, Graceland.
Yeah, because normally I wouldn't like a movie like that.
But you did like Graceland.
I loved Graceland.
Excellent. Okay, Chris.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Society was pretty surprising.
Right?
It'll surprise you.
And this coming from the guy who picked Child Bride.
If there would have been
Shunting
in
and
Child
child.
Bride.
There was.
Now
It
we're
was
talking.
just shunting Ozark style.
Okay.
Sounds like a dance, the Ozark shunt.
Dos I know. Shunting your partner round and round. Shunting your partner to the ground.
Dude, we should hire, how much does it cost to hire Ken Bauer to come in and write us a custom shunting square dance?
But I was
Six-pack in
also,
a nudie magazine.
I was also surprised by The Sting because I had only seen it as like a kid, like a really young kid. I don't think I'd seen it since I was 8 years old or 9 years old or 10 years old or something like that. Really young.
Or 11 years old.
Maybe
Do I hear
12?
12?
Or 12. Anyway, a long time ago, in a galaxy far away. But the plot finally came together to me for a movie that I had seen from my childhood quite a few times, and so it was kind of interesting to see as with an adult mind, well, semi anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? Stunted yet adult.
Yes, yeah, something to the means of that. But yeah, that surprised me too. I guess that's it. Graceland also, it was really good.
Okay, but you got to pick one.
The most shocking
or surprising, or you were most impressed by. Whatever the biggest standout to you, kind of.
I'd say Society. It really comes together at the end.
Yeah, no pun intended, right? No shit. Okay, all right, Jason. Let's get your take on this. Most surprising film for you?
It'd either be 1941 or Society. 1941 because I was like, oh, it's a Spielberg film, and then like what followed,
right?
Which is like some sort of weird proto Michael Bay-esque sort of like thing. With madcap antics.
Yes.
And then like knowing that Society is going to get weird, and then it gets like really weird.
It's so much more weird than you could ever think.
I was thinking to myself, like, I never knew I could get so erect.
That's what the surprise was for you.
So glad I
in defiance of God's will, just.
So glad I tend to sit behind you.
I was just thinking, this movie's like a date with Jason Land. It's weird, and then it gets really weird.
Yeah.
And then somebody gets shunted.
What's Nick's face doing?
She's hiding it.
Yeah. All right. So overall, which one would you pick as the sort of the one you were most, surprised by?
I'd say Society, because 1941 and like the title credits, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like a war film, and yeah, it kind of was. Society, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Not ready for where you were.
I hadn't even heard of it. Like it completely came out of nowhere for me because I don't have like the pedigree of like weird niche movies that most of you guys do.
Okay, all right. Another vote for Society. All right, Raul, your turn.
Mine would have to be 1941. I hadn't seen it. It's a movie I kind of avoided for a while because I do not like war films because I think they're super boring. Unless they're in outer space or in the stars, like some kind of space wars. But I'm just not I'm not a fan. So I remember seeing the cover plenty of times, and I just always look past it. I didn't even know it was a Spielberg film. So so that was my first night here that I ever came was for that movie.
Oh yeah.
So as soon as Condi picked that one, and I go like, oh fuck, I picked like the worst
This is
night
the
to
last
be
night
here.
I'm gonna be
yeah,
here.
I was like, it's gonna be a
I
fucking
let
war
Condi
movie.
talk me into this bullshit, and I gotta fucking watch
fuck.
this.
But no, it was really good. I want to own it. So,
All right. Another vote for 1941. This is getting close. Okay. All right, Dr. Matlis, your turn.
Most surprising? I think I have to pick the movie that was actually built around the whole concept of surprise, and that's Society. Because, my God, you do not see that coming. You know it's going to be weird, but yeah, this has been said, but you just don't know. You have no idea how weird it's going to get.
Film redefines the concept of surprise.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a slow build, and when it surprises you,
it's a slow burn that needs some penicillin.
Oh yeah.
It's like Splash Mountain, how it's just kind of like candy ass the whole way until you get to the very end. You're like, oh shit! Like,
It's a fucking
yeah,
steep
I wish
drop.
I had like a candid photo of myself when the shunting scene finally started.
We should have rigged up a camera.
we should get a GoPro or something, a reaction.
We can
cam.
sell like 11x14s on the way out the door.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay, all right. Another vote for Society. Okay, for me, this is kind of tough because, yeah, there was much surprisingness. Part of me almost wants to pick Sidekicks because and bizarre as well.
Surprised how ripped Joe Piscopo is?
Yeah, no, that's not surprising. Although he denied being on the juice, I don't know. No, it's kind of bizarre too, and it was. I thought it was kind of an interesting oddity because, as I believe I remarked on the podcast that you can actually you can feel Chuck Norris's disdain for the project.
Yeah,
like every
It's
time
palpable.
he's on camera, and I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic. But I'm not going to pick that one. I also almost feel like I could pick Rent for this because I wasn't prepared for how bad it really was.
I thought
I was gonna say this, but
I figured I probably wasn't going to like it, but I was hoping at least that there might be a song in there that like I'd be like, well, that song was good.
Yeah, there's
Or
nothing.
there was like that. I mean, other than like that one shot of Rosario Dawson's ass, as we discussed.
That's
It blew my expectations out of the water in terms of how awful it genuinely was.
It's really
So I
bad.
feel like that might deserve a vote. But I think I'm gonna err on the positive side here, and I'm gonna throw my vote to Graceland. Society I had seen before, so for me, a lot of the joy, not just rewatching it, but was like the giddiness associated with watching everybody else, knowing that they don't know what the fuck is gonna happen in this film. But Graceland this is a film that I would have never seen. And was totally rad. It wasn't super long. It was taut. It was action packed. It kind of kept you guessing. It kept you involved. It was really totally off the radar, and apparently, according to like what we can find out about it, off of most people's radar. So my vote goes to Graceland, actually, for the most surprising one.
Yeah, it was definitely surprising.
Okay, so it looks like of the three films that got picked, Society is the winner.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, there you go. Congratulations,
Raoul,
Raoul.
surprising us all.
Way to kick the fucking doors open on the way in.
Surprise.
So before we say goodbye and begin our new theme tonight, which is our bromance womance theme.
Womance,
Let's
there you
turn
go.
to Kenzie and find out Ultimate Bone Zone.
Ultimate Bone Zone.
For this round, is there somebody? I mean, I imagine we can just assume John Huston, but
Gross.
He's definitely in everyone else's.
right.
I know. Which
Well
do we want to talk about the Hall of Fame or anything?
No, because that's still pending. We got to figure out the
Oh,
parameters of that
okay.
exactly. But there's some yeah.
Everyone forget that.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
coming.
Okay. Well, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal, obviously.
Okay. Would you say him over anybody else?
Well, Rod Redford or Newman?
Jonathan Brandis,
I
Chuck
hate
Norris.
Chuck Norris.
When he was still alive. I mean,
No, he's stupid.
Abdi or whatever.
Yeah, Barkhad. Yeah, what is his name?
Look at me,
Abdi,
look at me.
Barkhad Abdi.
I'm in your bone zone.
Yes. Look into my eyes.
I'm in your bone
I'm
zone
in
now.
your bone zone now.
Oh, fuck.
That guy would have been great.
Okay, so do we want to give Jake Gyllenhaal the Bone Zone Award for this free-for-all theme?
I know it's obvious, but
Is
yeah.
that 2
Okay.
tickets to Stanktown?
All right. Yeah, 2 tickets to Stanktown. Okay. Okay, well, that's going to do it for our wrap-up of the free-for-all theme. Our new theme begins tonight, so stay tuned next week for whatever we watch. We don't know. It is a cornucopia of possibilities. So saying goodbye, clockwise start with me. I'm Ed.
I'm Zeb.
I'm Condi.
I'm John.
I'm Kenzie.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jason.
I'm Raul.
I'm Matt.
And Bromance Womance starting next week.
Bros
for
before hoes, sisters
Shit-
before misters.
Chicks before dicks. And I was trying to think about for guys. So, all right. Well,
Fuck you, Jonathan Larson.
we'll see you soon. See you soon. See you soon.